Hi, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and start. This is a July 19, 2022 Town of Corte Madera regular town council meeting. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Beckman.
Here.
Councilmember Mongan is absent. Councilmember Ravazio.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lee is absent. And Mayor Casissa.
Here. If we stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just two quick announcements. One is I just want to remind everybody that our draft housing element is out and it's on our website. And there's also another item, if you can, it's on our website, has to do with the Caltrans Tamalpais Overcrossing project. So just a reminder, those two are out there and they're out on our website. Thanks. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for public comment. This gives anybody from the public an opportunity to speak on any subject that is not on our agenda. You will be allowed 3 minutes. If there's anybody in person, please go to the podium. I do see 2 hands raised. I don't see anybody at the podium. If you can go ahead and bring Roy over, please.
I'm just going to wait a moment or two while I get the timer into the meeting. And then once that's in and I have access to it, then you're good. Okay, the timer is in the meeting and I will allow Roy to talk. And Roy, I will start your timer, start the timer when you begin speaking.
Okay, good evening. Over a month ago, I sent an email to all council members and some staff and had an attachment, and it's an article, The Continuing Importance of Thomas Sowell by Jason Riley. I'm going to read a brief portion of that article. Sowell is now 91 years old. The book he published last year was his 36th and his 5th since turning 80. That's not too bad for a Black orphan from the Jim Crow South who was born in extreme poverty during the Great Depression. Never finished high school, didn't earn a college degree until he was 28, and didn't write his first book until he was 40. But even aside from that impressive personal journey, Sowell is a rare species. He's an honest intellectual. He's someone who has consistently sought out the truth, regardless of whether it made him popular. He has been willing to follow the facts and evidence wherever they may lead, even though they may lead to politically incorrect results. It's not something that ought to distinguish you as a scholar, but these days it does. Think about the current debate that we're having over critical race theory. These ideas were once relegated to college seminars. Now they are entering our workplace through diversity training, and they are entering our elementary schools through the New York Times 1619 Project, which attempts to put the institution of slavery at the center of America's founding. That's absurd. Slavery existed for thousands of years in societies all over the world and long before the founding of the United States. More African slaves were sent to the Islamic world than were ever sent to the Americas. Slavery still exists today in Sudan and Nigeria. What makes America unique is not slavery, it's emancipation. It's how fast we went from slavery to Martin Luther King to a Black president. The economic and social progress of Black Americans is only a few generations is something unmatched in recorded history. The argument that America became prosperous due to slavery is unsupported by the facts, as Sowell has pointed out. Individual slave owners certainly prospered, but that's different from saying the country benefited. In fact, the regions of the country that had slaves were the poorest regions, both during slavery and afterwards. Similar in Brazil, which imported far more slaves than the US did, the regions where slavery was concentrated were the poorest regions, both during slavery and afterwards. So I ask the council members, please read that article. Don't be like a person who I spoke with who said they didn't want to read or hear anything contrary to their opinion. Thank you.
Thanks, Roy. If you can bring over David, please.
David, you should be able to unmute.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great, thank you. So this is David Mahler. I live in Larkspur, and I'm tonight representing the 50 members of the Marin Sonoma Building Electrification Squad. And what I'd like to do is to call your attention to the June 6th report by the Marin Civil Grand Jury calling for electrification of Marin's buildings, both to reduce risks to public health and safety and to eliminate over a quarter of the greenhouse gas emissions in Marin that are contributing to increasingly deadly and costly climate change. In framing your response to the grand jury, which is due by September 6th, we urge you to commit to its recommendations R1 and R2 to adopt a REACH code requiring that all new buildings be all electric and incentivizing electrification when renovating existing buildings. The countywide model ordinance now being developed by the county and several participating jurisdictions will enable you to achieve these recommendations by the January 1st, 2023 targets set by the grand jury. In addition, we urge Corte Madera to work with the other Marin jurisdictions to implement recommendation R3 to develop a comprehensive countywide building electrification plan by January 1st, 2024, in order to achieve electrification of all existing buildings as rapidly as feasible. The report includes a number of feasible strategies for doing this. All three recommendations align with actions Corte Madera has adopted in its 2020 Climate Action Plan and are necessary to avoid increasing greenhouse gas emissions from new construction and to start ramping down greenhouse gas emissions from existing buildings. With regional or state action to curb the use of natural gas in new and existing buildings expected to be at least 5 years away, we're looking to local government to lead us off fossil fuels with effective and feasible solutions like building electrification. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. With that, I don't see any other, we have one more set of hand raised. Leslie?
Yes, that is one more raised hand, and I will unmute Leslie Alden. Leslie, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Great, thank you so much. Yes, hi, good evening, Mayor, council members, staff. I'm following on what David Mahler just expressed. Of course, he is part of the Twin Cities. He lives in Larkspur, and I live here in Corte Madera. I live in the Chapman Park area, and I'm a member of the Corte Madera Climate Action Commission. And I'd like to take a moment to thank you, all of you, the council and staff, for your climate leadership, for starters. But tonight I'd like to follow on with what David just said in support of Corte Madera eliminating fossil fuels as quickly as possible to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. I don't think I need to give you an update on the climate crisis at this point, but I do want to mention that there is the countywide Model REACH Code initiative that David mentioned, and all 11 cities and a county are working on this. And it will require that new building construction is all electric, i.e. no new gas lines or gas hookups. And public awareness, I think at this point, of health and safety issues caused by natural gas in our homes and buildings is really increasing, much higher awareness. And you're likely also aware of the initiative via our town staff, so thank you all. So fossil gas, otherwise known as natural gas, in our buildings is responsible for about 25% of our greenhouse gas emissions, mostly for space and water heating. And in our homes, that's what tends to go out and be the emergency when we don't have hot water and can't heat our homes, especially in winter. The Marin Grand Jury issued the report that David mentioned and recommends that all Marin jurisdictions work together to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by taking steps to eliminate the use of natural gas in new buildings and replace outdated or non-functioning gas appliances and equipment in existing structures with electric alternatives such as high-efficiency electric heat pumps and water heaters. So I know that our response will be simple and straightforward. We will fully participate with the other 11 jurisdictions and develop that consistent model REACH code. I think that will be extremely important. And additionally, I hope that we will make every effort to communicate with our residents the advantages of voluntarily switching from gas to electric appliances and promoting the many resources and financial incentives that are available to assist residents in making this transition. And of course, we can communicate via the many channels that the town has, the website, the newsletters, but especially at the permit desk. And the Climate Action Commission, of which I am a part, will also work with our partners in the town's businesses and HOAs, as well as at events. So thank you very, very much for your time and for considering my comments. And I look forward to seeing what's next. Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. And I don't see any other hands raised. Do we have any email comments?
I will just double check email one more time, but I don't believe I saw any additional emailed public comments for open time.
Okay, all right, thank you. With that, I'll go ahead and close public comment. We'll move to presentations. We have 2 presentations tonight. The first one is to commemorate commendation for outgoing Parks and Rec Commissioner Emily Janowski, who has been with Park and Rec Commission for 8 years. We're gonna do something different. Come on up. You know me, I like different. You can come on this side.
For one last time.
You never know. I'm kidding. This is a Town of Corte Madera proclamation commending Emily Janowski for 8 years of service to the community on the Parks and Rec Commission. Whereas Emily was appointed to the Park and Rec Commission in 2014 and reappointed in 2016, 18, and 20, thus serving on the commission for a total of 8 years. Whereas Emily has served in key leadership roles during her tenure, both as vice chair of the commission from 2017 to 21 and co-chair of the commission from 2021 to 22. Whereas as a member of the commission's executive committee, Emily provided guidance, insight, and direction regarding key issues and initiatives related to park and recreation facilities and programming for the Corte Madera community. There's more warehouses, don't worry. Whereas Emily was instrumental in carrying out the planning and evaluation process for the Corte Madera skate park improvements, which included collaboration and partnership with stakeholders. And whereas throughout her years of service, Emily has more than demonstrated her commitment and passion in serving the Corte Madera community in her capacity as a member of the commission. And whereas Emily has lived in Corte Madera with her husband, Steve, sons Nick, a junior at the U.S. Naval Academy, and Sam, a senior at Redwood High School since 2004. And while her service to the commission may have concluded, she will continue to be active and involved member of our community and has offered her continued support of the Park and Recreation Commission. Now, therefore, it's proclaimed that I, Fred Casisa, has mayor of the town of Corte Madera, express sincere gratitude to Emily Janowski for outstanding dedication and contributions to the town of Corte Madera, and pride to recognize Emily Janowski for her work on the Park and Rec Commission for the past 8 years.
Thank you, Fred. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Oh, geez.
Quick photo op, now
Okay.
let's speak, but
Okay.
you guys can get up here too.
Oh, geez. Okay. Should I get my flowers?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. These are so pretty. Oh, Todd, come on up.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hey, Ashley,
Before you
come
leave, Ashley, please.
Yeah.
Yes, that's important.
Bring your assistant too.
Mhm. Come on, Shelby. You too. The whole family. Family photo. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I
Go
appreciate
ahead.
that.
The floor is yours.
Oh, no, I'm
You know
good.
what? You're good?
No,
Okay,
I'm good.
thanks.
Thank you, everybody. My
Thanks,
pleasure.
Emma, too.
It was a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Congratulations.
My pleasure.
Next up, presentation is we have from Rachel Kurtz, sorry, on the Neighborhood Response Group. And one thing, Neighborhood Response Group actually started by John and Lee Howard. I looked it up today in 2007, and it started with, I believe, Mariner Cove over on the east side. If I read it right, it's grown to more than 4,700 households or so. Yeah. Sorry.
All good.
The floor is yours.
PowerPoint. That's just for file. The other doc's just for file.
It's just a fucking nightmare.
All right. Thank you. It's nice to be on this side of the podium. I'm Rachel Kurtz. Any chance Chief Martin's online? His, okay. Sure. If there's any questions. Thank you. We'll go ahead and bring up the slides. And I think you have this in your packet as well. So Yes, in 2007, John and Lee Howard did start the NRG program. I, though, started in 2020 and actually March 8th. So if anyone remembers sort of that time frame, it was 4 days before we went into shelter in place. So for the last 2 years, I've been managing as the NRG coordinator in my son's room, and really had just started recently actually meeting people face to face with this program. So it's been a really fun experience and a great experience in the community to be able to get to know everybody. So Rebecca, you want to advance? Sorry, I was trying to delay. Yeah, I noticed. Okay, so what is the role of the NRG? John and Lee Howard's vision was really a recognition that neighbors will have to help neighbors in the event of a disaster. And that really is the foregone conclusion of this program and really the basis of this program. So we really look at it as a neighbor helping neighbor program. We want to work with first responders, but our role is really to help the neighbors in the event of a major disaster, be it a earthquake primarily, a flood situation, or an extended power outage. Just to clarify up front, our role during a our role during a fire and evacuation is really to listen to the first responders in terms of what the direction and action is. And that is a message that we continually share with the neighborhood and with the community, that our work is about preparedness. It's how to prepare the community in the event of a disaster. So we can go ahead and advance. So this work would not be possible because it is, I think I'll be sharing this a couple of times, really 99.9% volunteer based. So I am the only funded employee, and I'm funded through Central Marin Fire. Previously it was through Todd and the town, and we shifted it over to the fire. So I'm working closely with Chief Martin on a lot of the details and logistics. So these names are very familiar, probably to many of you. They are very committed to this project and this program, and I really appreciate all the help that they have given me as I've been learning over the last 2 years about how this works. So thank you to them. So again, quick facts. The part on the right hand of your slide is sort of it's a graphical representation of the number of NRGs. Each color represents a different NRG. Last year, we expanded to Greenbrae Hills and really got 7 NRGs up and running in the Greenbrae Hills area. So we now have 42 NRGs. Give or take about 30 are active. I'm constantly working with those that are not active as to how to become more active. Because it is volunteer-based and it is about neighbors, I have to find somebody who has that spark and that energy to make it happen. It doesn't happen from a top-down perspective. I could tell them to the cows come home, that, go ahead and do this. It doesn't matter. But if your next door neighbor tells you, it makes a difference. So we do drill. You'll see our signs out and about in the fall and in the spring. This is tied to when we do the clock change. And the drill expands to being a very, very specific drill, really primarily for our block captains to work with the neighborhood to drill during that period of time on that Sunday morning. Or it could be just your neighborhood is thinking about it. And I take that as a drill. If you work with your neighborhood to think about what you would do, that to me is enough. So we don't have any funding aside from my position. Funding is coming through either the community foundations or directly from the volunteers in the neighborhood. Each NRG funds themselves. And so this is an area that we're looking at in the future about how are we going to support other areas. Go ahead and advance. No one has to read this or understand this. The complexity around this is, and I'm going to specifically call out the success of Madrone Canyon with Peter Mazonis. They have identified, they've set up, and through Peter's help and with many others on the committees and in the neighborhoods, have set up a network. They call it the node sort of sequence. And it's a level of communication that they've organized to happen in the event of an emergency and a disaster through radio calls, through multiple energies reporting into these nodes. So really highly complicated. We only have a few NRGs working at this level. If you can go to the next slide. Majority of our NRGs are at level 1. And that's really just the basic step, and that is okay. I'd say our lead NRGs is Christmas Tree Hill, Madrone Canyon, and that's a really good thing because of where they are. But we also, Mariner Cove, obviously with the Howards is active. We've identified, because a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, Central Marin NRG, way too complicated. We can't do what you guys do. Yeah, you can. We say it just takes 2. Just takes 2 neighbors. And really the basic step of an energy is very simple. And I'm here and many of the other volunteers are here to work people through the different levels. Go ahead. So these aren't really the goals. This is sort of my task list. So, I mean, they're goals as well that we focus on new NRG development. And you could see in your packet and on the slides, you know, some of the activities that we're doing to actually move these items forward. For me personally, I am working with new NRG development to really identify areas that are not as represented with single family residents. This might be mobile home parks, it might be apartment complexes. And so we're looking at some additional programs of how to make better penetration into those areas. And this is where the community comes in to help, which is if you know somebody in these areas, I can make the connection. Or if you can make that connection to me, then I could work with them about establishing. But I can't go necessarily door to door in these neighborhoods. Okay. Okay. Woohoo! We can move on. So what's happened over the last couple of years? People liked the NRG program. People were very impressed across the county about what was happening and our materials. And so it started with Central Marin. It has now expanded to Southern Marin with the hiring of a coordinator there, as well as Ross Valley with another coordinator. San Rafael, I probably should have put in as a coordinator. We're doing some hiring there. And so the other areas are not as active with NRGs. But I do get calls all the time. More importantly, we've hired, the county has hired Elaine Wilkinson to be the county NRG sort of coordinator, but also being responsible for the CERT program, as well as 5th grade education for Ready 5th grade and some other things. So she has the sort of some oversight from the county perspective. Okay. So the opportunity is, this never changes. There's always somebody who doesn't know what's going on, which is okay, because that's our job, is to share the information and to communicate to every resident. That's our goal, right? Every resident is prepared in the event of a disaster. And we know, can't fool yourself, we know this area is prone to a disaster, whether it be an earthquake, a flood, or a fire, or anything else. We all have to prepare. So that's our opportunity, is to reach out to everyone. And people are moving in and people are moving out. People are getting older, people on and on and on and on. What the challenge is, it's 99.9 volunteer run and managed. And that anytime you're dependent on that, life happens and volunteers change, right? And volunteers leave. So it really is the success of the community, through the community and the members and your support, that this program has thrived and what's happening here. So I'm looking forward to continuing it on in the work that we're doing, and I'm open to any questions.
Any questions from council members?
Chief Martin, do you have anything to add?
First of all, I want to say thank you, Rachel. I think the success of the program has definitely come a long way, especially with the challenges that were presented to us when you first started. I remember back at that interview and hiring you, and definitely looking back where the program was and where it is now, we definitely have the right person at the helm. As Rachel mentioned, the success of this program all relies on each individual member of the community because it is all volunteer based. Our number one goal is to get people the information that they need to be prepared, and also try to prepare our community to be more resilient in the event of an emergency, so that way we can bounce back quicker. And so everything that we're doing is to provide that resiliency. So I want to say thank you to Rachel and kind of applaud her for her efforts. And like we said, we have been the gold standard for neighbors helping neighbors throughout the entire county. Everyone else has taken the model that has been started by the Howards and approved upon by every member, and trying to take that back to the community. So I think it's something that we should be proud of as a community.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Eli did have a question.
Thank you, Fred. Rachel, thank you so much for your work that you do on behalf of our communities and also for this presentation. I just had a clarifying question. So on, I think the first slide here, it says, during a wildfire or evacuation situation, the NRG is not activated. And I just want to clarify, that is as opposed to like an earthquake situation, in which case it would be activated. It's just that when there's an evacuation.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
The first responders, the police, manage evacuations in collaboration with the fire department. And we have, for a while, we had to like tell people, you cannot have your own fire hose. So, and you cannot, so our message to everyone is prepare in advance. And if there's a call for evacuation, you need to listen to what your direction is and follow that. And some people, I'll say, if you are that worried, if you live in Christmas Tree Hill, if it's a red flag day, maybe that's your plan, is to leave then. Leave when it's identified as a red flag day. And for others, they're going to say, I'll wait till someone comes and knocks on my door. So everyone has to feel comfortable with what their plan is.
Thank you.
I do have one question for you. I know there's trailers around town. Like there's one at Neil Cummins, the parking lot across from Nordstrom's, various places. Can you explain or just kind of go over briefly how those are interacted with the NRGs, if they are?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are some solely NRG trailers. Majority of the trailers are CERT trailers, and then there's CERT NRG trailers. At the end of the day, these trailers are equipped to help it for a local community situation. And that big slide with the nodes, a lot of the nodes are centered around the trailers. They're not necessarily a gathering spot, but they are supplies. Those trailers can be moved wherever is needed. And so they're really, some of them are highly decked out with generators and all sorts of supplies, and others are just sort of a radio command center. So it really depends. And those are funded through, the fire department has helped with some of the funding, the community foundation, as well as the residents.
Thanks. Any other questions for Councilmember? No. We'll go ahead and open up for public comment. Anybody in person wishing to speak or have questions? I don't see any hands raised. We get any emails, comments?
We just received a raised hand from Patty, so I will go ahead and unmute her. I checked email and we did not receive any emailed public comments on this item yet.
Thanks.
Patty, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Got it. Thank you, Rebecca. I just wanted to salute Rachel as well. I've kind of been NRG adjacent on the Disaster Council and helping the Howards establish the website and the programs. But Rachel has been just outstanding. And so big kudos to Rachel and Ruben, to you for hiring her. So yes, we're very fortunate. So thank you.
Thank you, Patty.
Thanks, Patty. I don't see any hands raised, no email comments. So I'll go ahead and close public comment. Yeah, I just want to thank you, Rachel. You're doing great work.
Thank you.
I think one thing that speaks for the whole model is when I start seeing that it's not just Corte Madera, Larkspur, you see that starting to spread throughout the county. I think that just speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So again, thank you. You're greatly appreciated.
Appreciate it. And I think a couple of you already got your pins. These are pins that we've identified for. Thanks to Ribbon, we purchased pins for our block captains. Well, I don't think you got one. Everyone got one during 4th of July. You have your own. And I'll give Rebecca the rest. So you guys can have your pins. And then also, everyone gets. I saw it in here and said everyone.
Yeah, Rachel just handed it to me.
And then also I'll make sure you guys have this. This is our card to make sure for Alert Marin and Nixle, which is a priority for us.
All right. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ruben. Stay safe. And with that, we're going to move on to our consent calendar. These are items that are in normal routine, normal course of business. They've been discussed before. They don't require further action. They can be approved by a single motion. Any member of the town council, the staff, or the public can wish to have an item removed for further discussion. And with that in mind, is there anybody from the council, staff, or the public that wishes to have an item removed for further discussion? No hands raised. I don't see any hands raised. No email comments.
No emailed public comments received.
Thanks for
and no
that.
requests to pull items.
Thanks. With that, I'll go ahead and close public comment and bring back to council for a motion to approve consent items 4A through 4G.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Thanks. Any further discussion? Go ahead and call for the vote.
Councilmember Beckman,
Yes.
Councilmember Mongan, absent. Councilmember Ravazio,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lee, absent. Mayor Casissa.
Yes, we don't have any public hearings tonight. We'll move to business item 6A. This is receive the annual report from the Sales Tax Oversight Committee.
Hello. I'm Karen Gerbosi. I'm the chairperson, the chair of the Sales Tax Citizens Oversight Committee. I believe that you've received the report. And so the Sales Tax Citizens Oversight Committee met last month on June 22nd, and we finalized our annual report. So on behalf of the committee, I'm presenting the finalized annual report for financial year 2020, 2021. This report stands on its own, and I believe it doesn't really need any explaining. We're satisfied that the expenditures of the sales tax revenues are consistent with the intent of the voters, and I have nothing further to add. We're also pleased that Corte Madera citizen Chris McBride has chosen to join our committee. So we now have 4 people on the committee. So finally, just let me know if you have any questions or if there's any direction you wish to provide to the committee.
Thanks. Are there any questions? No questions? Let me go ahead and open it up for public comment.
Okay, I am checking email and we did not receive any emailed public comment on this item, and I am not currently seeing any raised hands from attendees.
Thanks. With that, I'll go ahead and close public comment. Any comments from council members? No.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Karen, for all your hard work. I sit in
Great
on
job.
those meetings and
Great job. Thank you.
yeah, I sit in on those meetings. I don't want to say they're a tough crowd, but they're pretty tough, especially when Todd presents stuff and there's back and forth a lot of times. So it's all good. So thanks. Appreciate all the hard spirited. That's a good word. So
Keep
thank
us
you.
honest. All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
With that, we're going to go ahead and move to 6B, which is adopt resolution number 42/2022 to adopt Adam Wolf as our interim town manager and approve an employment agreement with Adam to serve as interim town manager. And with that, I will turn it over to Todd.
I'll stick to this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm happy to give this presentation to you for consideration. With my resignation on July 6, 2022, the town council met in closed session, and we discussed a variety of options for the council and the town to move forward. And as this town council knows very well, as well as staff, going back to 2016, one of the missions of the current town manager and the council was to develop staff, to have a succession plan, to build leadership. And within that discussion, a closed session, I will share that one of the shining stars of our staff and one of the people that are really critical to our success is Adam Wolf. And he doesn't get enough credit behind the scenes. And it was my honor to share that vision and his story to the council. And during that closed session, the council unanimously voted to offer the position of interim manager to Adam Wolf. The town council at the time delegated Mayor Casissa and council member Ravazio to negotiate and meet with Adam Wolf to come to terms of an employment agreement on behalf of the town should Mr. Wolf accept the town's offer. He has, and that draft agreement is before you now. It has been written and approved by the town attorney. And the proposed employment agreement appoints Adam Wolf as the interim manager for the term of July 20th, 2022 through this year of December 31st, 2022, the effective date of the town council's permanent town manager or the agreement is terminated by either party as set forth in this agreement. The agreement can be extended in writing, provided that the agreement is not terminated for cause. When the agreement is terminated, Mr. Wolf is entitled to reinstatement to his current position. And that current position is the Director of Planning and Building Department. The fiscal impact and the benefits within this agreement are as follows. Mr. Wolf will receive a salary of $18,531 per month. This is a 10% increase over his current salary as the Planning and Building Director. He will continue to receive the benefits awarded to the department heads group in their memorandum of understanding, which are the same benefits awarded to the current town manager. In addition, he'll receive additional benefits awarded to the current town manager, which include a car allowance, computer equipment, and reimbursement for approved business and professional expenses. A copy of the agreement is attached to this report, and we're happy to answer any questions. One additional item, the car allowance is a $450 monthly car allowance. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions, council members? No. Go ahead and open up for public comment. Is there any way from the public, either in present, online, or if we got any email comments? I see Pat Ravazio's raised her hand.
Mayor Casissa, I will unmute Pat. Pat, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to say I could not be happier in the choice of Adam Wolf as town manager. When I first met Adam, you know, he was kind of the quiet Mark Ruffalo type, didn't say a lot in meetings, but I got to bend his ear many, many times. And the work that he has done to create new incentives for developers to do right by Corte Madera with excellent design, with community amenities, and with environmental responsibility. I think Adam is creating a whole new standard of how cities can guide development. And I think Corte Madera can be very proud of the work that Adam Wolf has done. It was mentioned earlier that Corte Madera is the gold standard for NRGs. I think we're also becoming the gold standard for design and build and the way we grow. And I think Adam's going to be an excellent leader. Although, Todd, I'm really sorry to see you go, really, really. But Adam, I couldn't be more excited for you and for Corte Madera because of you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Pat. I don't see any other hands raised, but we do have one in-person comment.
This is kind of a logistical administrative thing, is when this happens, when it's approved, then how is the management, then the functions that Adam was performing, how are they, there's this dominoes occurring. So I don't think that's been addressed. If it was, I missed it, but I just want to know how that's going to get handled.
Okay, we'll go through public comment and then I'll have staff respond to your question.
Thank you.
Thanks. There's nobody else here with wishes to speak. No raised hands. Any email comments?
We did not receive any emailed public comment on this item.
Thanks. So I'll go ahead and close public comment. Can anybody from staff address the comment that was made?
Sure. Do you want to take that or start? So what I'll just say is I'll start off with, this is an opportunity for staff also to reevaluate where we currently are and redevelop the puzzle pieces within our leadership team. And so Adam and I are working through each department, an opportunity to streamline and be more effective in all of the departments. Specific to building and planning, we're looking at bifurcating the two departments and having them run separately in direct reports to the town manager, which is Adam. Adam will always have a strong say and expertise within planning, building, and community development. That's his expertise. That's why he's here. That's what the town needs in this moment and moving forward.
And I can speak to that a little bit more if I can. Just, I still will certainly be involved in the housing element process, which is obviously very much a priority of the town. And then we are fortunate to have staff both in the planning department and in the building department that can step up and sort of simultaneously with me stepping into this interim role, take on some additional responsibilities. And so I'm looking forward to working with them closely in the same manner that I am today, but there will be some additional responsibilities asked of some of our current staff, many of whom you know very well and are very capable as well. So that's essentially the plan we have in place. We may need to supplement some of the planning staff to allow that to happen, as we've done in the past on an ad hoc basis, project by project basis if needed. So we'll be talking about that more as we go.
And just lastly, it's exciting because a lot of times you don't see what's behind the sheet, right? What the work that we do, and you're going to see some leadership come up. The strength of our team is really the mid-management side, and you're going to see some leaders, the next evolution of succession planning, step up. And so this is the moment in time for them. And so we're lucky, but we do have a plan within the work plan. We do not see us having to slow anything down. We're going to put the metal to the pedal and deliver that. So we're comfortable where we are. And this is one of the, I think, key decisions the council, I don't want to speak on their behalf, but our discussion was really critical to how does this impact our current staff and where we're going. And I think that was a big consideration for them.
Thanks. And with that, I will go ahead and bring it back to council. We're looking for a motion to adopt resolution number 42/2022 to appoint Adam Wolf as our interim town manager and also to improve his employment agreement. Go ahead.
Do you want to go first, Bob? Did you have a comment?
Sure. I am completely in favor of this. The town has been doing great for the past several years. Adam has been a key part of that. Adam knows how to make sure that it stays that way. I think what's most important, though, is staff that we currently have is great, and they're going to be thrilled to stay here. Everyone I've spoken to is really happy that Adam is staying on and doing this. I'm thrilled. And most importantly, that's what's best for the town, because that's what's best for the citizens, because staff's going to be, maintain continuity, services are going to maintain. And I think it's a great move. So that's my take. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, Adam, I just wanted to say first, huge congratulations to you. I think this is a really big opportunity for Corte Madera. And, I think hiring a town manager is without doubt, it doesn't come up for every council member. And I think if it does, it is without doubt the most important vote that you take in your council career. And so we really wanted to make sure we got this right. And, I think I speak for all of us when I say we feel really lucky to have a candidate like you. And, I'm proud of you and I'm grateful to you for stepping up to the plate here. And, I know that this community means a lot to you and you mean a lot to this community. So it's just, it feels really good to see this happening. And the last thing I'll say is just with, one of the big challenges of the coming era, I think for Corte Madera and a lot of other towns is going to be navigating the housing mandates and a lot of the planning and building related mandates coming from the city. And so I was saying, I'm sad to lose you as planning and building director at this time, but at the same time, the flip side of that is, and I've said this, there's no better time to have a town manager who comes from that background and has that planning expertise. So I think we're entering this next era in a really strong position, thanks in large part to your leadership. So thank you.
Thanks, Eli. And just a couple of comments from me. One is, I think Todd touched upon this, but when we met in closed door session, even though we don't have two council members here tonight, it was a unanimous decision. So you have the full support of the council. I think also it speaks to staff when we can move people from within internally, like move you up. And if you have other staff members that you can move up, I think it speaks to the depth of the staff we have. Because a lot of times people may see directors, they don't see the staff underneath them and all the hard work. I know when I get these staff reports, there's a lot of work that goes into them, like hours. And I don't think, I take them for granted sometimes, but I appreciate all the hard work. But it's not just Adam who's doing this work. There's other staff behind him. So I just think it's a great move. And I think the other key thing is the community, which I think is really key. The residents, the business side, because you've dealt with numerous projects, especially on the planning side, the community groups that are active in our town. So I just think it's a really great integration. So I think it's great for the town. Before you speak, we still have to roll on the motion and then I'll let you talk. Sorry.
It would be my honor to move resolution number 42/2022, appointing Adam Wolf as interim town manager and approving our employment agreement with him.
I can second that. And if there's no further discussion, go ahead and call for the vote.
Councilmember Beckman,
Yes.
Councilmember Mongan, Councilmember Ravazio,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lee, Mayor Casissa.
Yes. Congratulations. And with that, now, are you able to town manager? I'll give it over to you.
No, I really appreciate all those kind words and I wanted to take this opportunity, I think, first and foremost, really to thank you all for your support and encouragement. But I also wanted to publicly thank Todd, really for the last 6 years, we've been able to work together. The positive changes that you've been able to bring to our organization and the town. We've talked a lot about this. We've worked through a lot of different problems and issues. Your skills in that regard, the way in which you support staff, and your willingness to really think long-term, to set our future leaders, the town council, our community up for success. That resonates with me and something I really will take with me into this new position. So it's been a real pleasure. I could go on, but I look forward to, really not only downloading as much as I can over the next 40 days from you, or however long it is, but really also I'll get to work with you in a new way as a fellow town manager and city manager as you move over the hill, where, by the way, many people I know are already armed with his personal cell phone. So good luck with that, Todd. Including my folks, but no. But I certainly want to thank the council for your support. I very much take this responsibility very seriously, and I think you all know I'm going to do everything I can to make this really a successful endeavor. I'm reminded actually of when I first started as planning and building director. Sloan Bailey, former council member Sloan Bailey said to me, he said, "Don't worry, there's no pressure. Everybody's counting on you." So, I do hope we're back here in November talking about a permanent contract, and we'll just take it one step at a time. And I think that's appropriate. But I'm also just want to say I'm really excited to keep the ball rolling. As we've talked about with our current team, we have really talented and hardworking staff. I want to make sure we're not skipping a beat with our current work program through this transition, and really just continue to build on the momentum that I think Councilmember Ravazio said, we've really created some good momentum in the last several years, despite the circumstances, really. And just keep going down the road we have. And so it's no secret that our ability to be successful and serve our community, I think, comes down to the people on our team. And I can tell you, we have a great team. That's one of the reasons why I really felt comfortable and wanted to step into this role, is that we have good people, good quality people. Thanks. And Todd has a lot to do with that as well, but I certainly want to keep it that way and keep that going into the future. So when does it start? Tomorrow? I better get, I better cut it off now.
It just started now.
July 20th, come on. So thank you.
It's 7:19, by the way.
All right. Well, anyways, I'll stop there, but looking forward to working with all of you.
Thanks. We appreciate it. And one just side note is that Adam is going to be the featured speaker at the Mirrors Forum next Tuesday. So you'll have an opportunity, open mic, open questions, fire away. Thanks. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move to business item number 6C, consideration and proposal to hire a climate action and adaptation coordinator for the planning and building department, and possible direction of staff for the creation of the position with salary included, and an amendment to compensation schedule C. And with that, I will turn it over to staff. And this isn't to be voted on, right? This is a 2-meeting process.
That's correct.
Providing direction tonight. Thank you.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. And this has been really a group effort. It started with council members Kuhnhart and Beckman back a few years ago. And we have a number of climate action committee members on this call as well, really bringing it to the attention and forefront of staff moving forward of the importance of this position. And it's taken us a kind of a 2-year conversation of really trying to figure out the best way to proceed, to staff it and make some positive change. And so I really want to commend the efforts of the council members and our committee members sticking with us and really educating staff and helping us develop this. I wanted to, as a quick background, just clarify one thing. We will change the title for the upcoming meeting if you wish to move forward with this, but this is an adaptation coordinate. This is a climate action and adaptation coordinator position. It would be under the administration department, not the planning and building department within the title. So we'll clarify that for you. But again, quick background, the town council has made some really significant steps towards addressing this issue. And I just want to, again, verbally state them. On December 1st, 2020, the town council joined other jurisdictions across the country and approved a resolution declaring a climate emergency. On December 15th, 2020, the town council approved a climate action plan for the town of Corte Madera. We're also going through the process now of updating that. On May 18th, 2021, the town council approved a climate adaptation assessment. On October 8th, 2021, the town council held a strategic planning session. And within that session, they prioritized the climate action as a category 1 priority, which is our top priority, including the importance of creating a climate action committee and a climate action program management position. On December 21st, 2021, the town council adopted a resolution creating a climate action committee to advise the town council on matters related to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and implementing a climate action plan. And on June 21st, 2021, the town council adopted within the current fiscal year 2022-2023 budget to include funding for a climate action position. As part of the strategic planning session that the town council held, they recognized that local and sustained organizational and community actions to address climate change required committed staff resources and expertise. And so we budgeted, with the approval of council, $180,000 in the current budget. And that was for a position with the help of our consultant, Bob Brown, who has helped us work with staff, the council, and the committee to really formalize our climate action committee, but also the job description and duties of this position moving forward. And if you think about this position, it's very unique, right? We're working on cutting edge, the climate action committee, moving things forward, but also working within the administration department, the planning department, and the public works department, taking the climate action plan and the climate adaptation assessment and moving projects forward. And one of the things that I think Adam, RJ, and Bob Brown did really well was to say, okay, what type of person do we need to recruit? What are we looking for? And this is really probably, and it's in the report, we're looking for someone that has really depth at the planning level to really move this forward, but can go across multiple departments. And so I think that's before you today. A lot of work has been put into this. Adam's available for questions, but the fiscal impact within our budget, we have $180,000 dedicated to this. On page 4 of the report, the salary range, we did a comp study, and we came up with a salary range for this position of about $89,000 bottom step to $108,000 top step. There's 5 steps to this range. If you look at total compensation with all benefits and retirement, we're looking at a range of $109,000 to just under $130,000. Our recommendation is that you leave the remaining budget of the $180,000. So we have about $50,000 left within the budget, that we keep that available to the committee at this position to do education and support moving forward. And we think this is a good amount of money to move us through this fiscal year and really move some things forward. With that, I'll stop. Amy and Adam are available to answer any questions. But again, we have a lot of committee members on the call. Councilmember Beckman has been a big cheerleader of this effort over the last 2 years in the council, and we're happy to finally get this to you and move this forward. So happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Eli? No. I just have a couple. One is, you've mentioned that it reports to administration. Who does that report? What's that structure?
Sorry. So the administration right now, it would be a direct report to Adam. Okay. Which really works perfect in the situation if you think about that as well. And one of the reasons why we did this, sorry, I'm getting a little feedback, was that we wanted to eliminate as many obstacles as possible when we move this forward. And we're working amongst multiple departments. Adam does have some thoughts as we move forward of possibly resetting this position and once we have it on board and we move forward over the next 3 to 6 months and evaluate it. But right now, this position would be a direct report to the town manager.
Okay, thanks. And then how the job market's kind of tough for a lot of jobs out there. How easy or hard do you think it is going to be to try to find somebody, especially with prices in Marin and all that factored in?
Well, certainly that is challenging. I think a lot of the that's going to be challenging for every position we try to fill with respect to just cost of living. But this is actually one of the areas where I think you can find really talented individuals. It's a field that a lot of, frankly, really sharp minds are sort of gravitating to because obviously there's going to be a lot of work in this area moving forward. And certainly, I think we're well positioned due to the work that we've already done with the climate adaptation assessment, with the climate action plan, with the work being done amongst colleagues in Marin County to really dive in and frankly, just the fundamental challenges faced in Corte Madera to attract somebody who can dig in and really really be motivated by the work in front of them in a place like Corte Madera and have, I think, again, the team that we have. So, we'll see who we are able to attract. One thing to add, I think we're looking at really, we'll have to see how this goes, but there is going to be initially, obviously, more work on the climate action side. And then as we likely get further down the road and next year, when we start more significant education on adaptation measures, that will likely shift into that role. So I think that's also it's a way to attract, again, an individual and candidate or a wide pool of candidates who really can sink their teeth into both aspects and not be siloed into one type of policy area. So anyways, that's a long way of saying, I think it's a really emerging field. And so we're going to get a good pool here, candidates.
And on page 13 of the staff report, you'll see the comp study. I'm sorry, I should have referred you to that. And you'll see, I think, like Adam said, a candidate will see how serious we are about this position. If you look at the money that we're putting towards this and how committed we are compared to our cohorts, this should be a pretty exciting opportunity for them. And I will share, when we started building this, we really looked to Larkspur for potential opportunities to shared services. At the time, they weren't interested. I will just share that, as I did with Adam, there is one of your neighbors to the south that would be extremely interested in sharing the service. So you will have some opportunities as you go in doing that. So, but anyway, we're excited about this.
We'll just remember it's all in the pricing.
Discount?
Try the other way. With that, are there any other questions from council members? No, go ahead and open up to the public. We have one raised hand from Leslie.
Okay, Leslie, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you so much. This is Leslie Alden. I am part of the small but mighty team of the Climate Action Committee. And I'm just so thrilled to have this come before the council at this point. As Todd said, it's been a long road. I'm so grateful to David Kuhnhart and Eli Beckman and to Todd. And Todd, I have to say, I'm not happy that you're leaving, but I'm really grateful for all the effort, the energy, and the really thoughtful input that you've brought to our committee meetings and bringing in Bob Brown. He's been really terrific. So Mill Valley is lucky to get you, and I'm really looking forward to working closely with Adam and whomever is hired. And I urge the council to move with all due haste to approve this as soon as possible. So thank you all very much.
Thanks, Leslie. And next, if you can bring over Roy, please, who has a hand raised.
Okay, Roy, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay, good evening again. When the climate initiative started, 4 or 5 years ago, Peter Brown had indicated that the whole program was going to be scientific based, fact based, data based. And I see a lot of issues where there's omissions, opinions, and political notions. And one of those areas was that there were a couple of folks going around town at meetings, that sort of thing, stating that the sea level was rising 1 to 2 inches a year in California for the past 5 years. So if you take a look at the numbers, and that was about a year ago, 2 years ago, if you look at the numbers, if you look at the high side, 2 inches times 6 years is 12 inches. The sea level rose from 1900, or let's say the water level rose from 1900, this is according to NOAA and NOAA's data, to 2021, a total of 12 inches. That means that the sea level rise all took place in the last 6 years. That's nonsense. So that sort of opinion, non-fact, needs to be eliminated. Now, in the climate adaptation climate adaptation action plan, a key issue on flooding in Corte Madera are the areas where it's bay mud and landfill. And that is called, what's happened there is settlement. And not one mention in the climate action plan was mentioned about settlement. It was all sea level rise that's going up. So again, there's not facts, there's not any rational approach to this. One of the things I would like the council to entertain is after the public speaks, I sent a link to Rebecca on a meeting that took place, and Todd was there and Eli was there. He wasn't on the council then. But it was the Community Forum on Flood Control. It was May 2nd, 2018. If we can't play it tonight, I hope we can. Just a segment of it, 5 minutes. I gave Rebecca the time. And it'll explain what's happening with settlement and how that impacts us here in Corte Madera. Flooding is a big issue here. Climate change is an issue, but we need facts. We don't need a lot of nonsense, and I see a lot of nonsense going on. So I'd like to see that eliminated. Now, I have a question. Would the town consider hiring a person if they indicate in the position of this climate adaptation person? Would they consider an applicant if the applicant considered or said they went strictly by science, by data, and indicated that it's not conclusive how much of the climate change is related to man-caused conditions? I'd like to hear a response from the town on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Roy. And we also have a hand raised by David McPherson. Can you bring him over, please?
David, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Rebecca. Good evening, everybody. And I simply wanted to say that I applaud the wisdom of having this new position respond directly to the town manager. It seems to me that this new hire is going to be responsive and have direction and questions from multiple committees, many members of the public, many council members, and other advocacy groups. And so I like the idea that this new person will not be whipsawed between many different directions and have their head spinning and turn around and say, this is not for me. So I'm just pleased to see that this will be a direct response to the town manager. And congratulations, Adam.
Thanks, David. I don't see any hands raised. Did we get any email comments in?
I'm just refreshing email one more time. We did not receive any emailed public comments.
Thanks. And with that, I'll go ahead and close public comment. Unfortunately, Roy, we will not be able to play the video tonight. I'm sure Rebecca has a link if she wishes to send it out, if that's at all possible.
And he, thank you, Mayor Casissa. He did send the email with the link in his statement that he would be speaking during open time.
Okay.
So with your direction, I can save that as a PDF and include that in the packet as late correspondence like we do with other public comments. When someone sends a comment that exceeds the 3 minutes in length, and we link their written public comment. So it would be saved to the agenda packet with the link and available for the council and the public to view.
Okay, thanks. And then I don't know if staff wants to address Roy's other question. I believe there's a job position description in here. I'll leave it up to staff if you want to address that or not.
The specific question, I'm not sure. Was it related to how much man?
I think the question was essentially, would you hire an applicant if they said as part of their interview process that they are going to be guided strictly by science?
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I think there's certainly everything we're looking for in a candidate here. I think that still holds true. Certainly the best available science is what is going to guide the work of the town. And so so the answer, I think, to that question is yes. But as we know, there's, science is on these subjects it changes as time goes on. And so but the answer to the question is yes.
Thanks. With that, we'll close public comment, bring it back to council. Any comments? Go ahead, Eli.
Thank you, Fred. Needless to say, I'm quite excited about this. I think, I think the town council and staff over recent years have done a really good job of making clear that this is a priority for us to address both climate action, right, doing something about climate change, but also climate adaptation, preparing our town for the effects of climate change, flooding and wildfire. And so I think this is fantastic. I think we've done great work with our climate action plan, our climate adaptation assessment, creating our climate action committee, who are all stars. I mean, like, what they've accomplished without funding and without staffing, I think is incredible. And I think it's time that they are empowered and resourced in this way to really take their work to the next level. I really see this as sort of the last piece of the puzzle in terms of Corte Madera, putting its money where its mouth is, right? And actually taking the steps, putting resources forward and taking the hard actions to actually protect our community from the effects of climate change that we already see all around us and that we know are coming. And then the last thing, I just wanted to commend staff on the job description. Really, really well written. I think this is going to attract really good candidates. So thank you very much for that. And that is all. Thank you.
Well said. Let's do it.
Okay, and with that, I think you have direction to go ahead and move forward. I do have one question, because I know we won't be able to formally approve it till our next meeting in August. But does that delay anything, or tomorrow do you guys start recruiting? Or is that premature? And I'm sorry, should I be looking at the interim town manager or the old town manager?
If you promise not to change your mind, we could do it immediately.
I just think instead of trying to wait another month, if we can move forward with it, it'd be appreciated. I just don't want to waste time.
Absolutely, no.
Okay. All right, thanks. And with that, we'll go ahead and move to council reports, interim town manager report. He looks at me like, oh, me?
Well, I don't. There's been a lot going on, but no, I think you mentioned this at the beginning. Obviously, something directly that we've been working on is the release of the housing element. So that is a really important opportunity for the town to weigh in on the draft housing element plan. But I don't want to forget also the update to the safety element as well. And so the housing element takes top billing. The safety element really is also something that is required by law to be updated along with the housing element. And it actually speaks to some of the adaptation measures that were in the climate adaptation assessment. So there may be those who are interested in reviewing that portion as well. And we're going to be doing more outreach at Friday night at the movies, and I think there's a Sunday event and other pop-up events that we've been doing out throughout town, and including Larkspur actually in that as well. So because we've been getting a lot of Larkspur residents at our events. So anyways, that's, I guess, the focus of my report at this time. Is going to stick to my planning background here. So I'll end there.
Thanks. Todd, did you have anything to add?
Sorry, just 4 quick ones. So as you know, the town hall demolition commenced. It was, I wasn't able to, I know, I wasn't, I saw the first picture of it starting to go down. I tried to get over there and it was already completely down. It was like 45 minutes, but there are pictures on our website so everyone can see it. But pretty momentous for us. And so we're moving forward. Staff's going to be putting together with Alton Construction, a kind of a ceremony, a groundbreaking ceremony that we can celebrate. So that'll more to come there for the council and community. As council members mentioned, the Tamalpais Overcrossing project with Caltrans is going to be coming before council in August. Staff is trying to catch up and really evaluate those options and really wrap our head around, which ones, we would be supportive from staff and to really start that discussion with the council members individually to get you all the information you need going into that presentation. And I think one of our focuses, there's probably a $10 million plus gap between, I think, what we'd really want in our dream wish and to what they are presenting and some of the options they support. And one of the questions that we really want to evaluate is, whatever plan we land on and they start the environmental process, do we have opportunities to add and to partner with others to put together, some financial resources to deliver some of those things, and how long do we have? And so there's a lot of work to be done. Your staff has kind of been a little bit separated through vacations. RJ is back next week. And so we're going to jump on that. And then we'll start meeting with council members individually going into that August meeting. The other one is our PG&E draft report is complete. I did send a draft to our leaders up on Christmas Tree Hill. That really started this movement for us, and the council has the draft as well, just for review. Again, we're evaluating that and look to bringing that to the council in the next 60 days. And what that report is telling us is to focus on those high fire risk areas, and then also with some of the surrounding jurisdictions of Larkspur unincorporated and Mill Valley as well. And so we're looking forward to bringing that towards you in the next 60 days. And I think one of the asks of the CPUC and PG&E will be a $20 million project to make this town safer and underground some of those high risk areas. The last one, again, is, as Adam said, it's all staff transition. And so we're working, again, department by department, and really seeing opportunities to become more efficient and for our leaders to step up through the succession planning process. And that's all I have.
Thanks. Any questions? I do have one quick question, because on the Caltrans, the overpass, you mentioned that they're coming in August, right, for presentation. At that point in time, do we have to make a decision if it's a presentation? What's kind of like the process there?
Well, they'll have a 45-day, kind of comment period. And so what we'll want to do within that 45 days is to give an official comment on behalf of the town. And so we'll have that opportunity. But I think what staff wants to do is, because it's quick, 45 days, it's something where we would spend 6 months, 8 months of public discussion. It's 45 days. So we want the council and the community to be as educated as possible going into that presentation to give feedback. And then we'll come back at a future council meeting to formalize our response as a town.
All right, thanks. Any other questions? No, with that, we'll go ahead and move to council reports. Eli?
Thank you, Fred. Just 2 quick items. One, Centerman Sanitation Agency just wrapped up what turned out to be more challenging and protracted labor negotiations than expected, but we ended with a 5-year contract for our staff at that organization, which I think is huge. I think that's really good for CMSA as an agency. I think it's good for the ratepayers, which are our citizens, and I think it's really good for the employees there. It gives them, locks in good living benefits, living wage, and that kind of stability and that predictability that I think we all need. So that's one thing. Other thing, I've said this before, League of Cities, North Bay Division is having a division meeting August 4th in Petaluma. So all of our council members are welcome to attend if they're interested. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about the Tamalpais overcrossing. I'll try not to be too redundant with what Todd said, but we had a BPAC meeting on it last week. There are 6 alternatives from Caltrans. It's all on a website, which Rebecca can send out to everybody so you can take a look at it along with the environmental review for each. A little background, this started years ago. Dave Bracken was either the public works director or the town manager, I'm not sure which, but when we used to get a lot of rain, the piers under that thing used to sink every year, and it would cause a break in the roadway, and we'd have to spend a fortune to fix the roadway. So eventually we got Caltrans to agree to repair it and fix it. And that's where this whole thing started, because when they did, then BPAC got involved and said, well, if we're going to fix that, let's improve it. And we started talking about actually trying to unite the east and west sides of town, which were separated by the freeway years ago. We saw this as a real ideal opportunity to do it by creating a really nice overcrossing. So we started talking to them, and then my wife, Pat Ravazio, actually got involved. She knew someone who worked for Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, which is a big architectural firm in the city, who lived in Corte Madera, and they gratis did a huge study on this thing and presentation, which is available to see, and showed how we could build a really nice pedestrian bicycle overcrossing on this thing. That really is a showpiece and really helps make it much easier to get back and forth across town. That I think is one of the options. I think it's 4B. It's $10 million more than what they want to spend. So Caltrans, is basically saying they'll spend 15 million, they'll do 2B. At least I think that's what they're saying. If we want to do something else, we got to come up with at least $10 million. And I'm not even sure exactly how the process works, how we, get Caltrans to delay things. If it's something we decide we want to do and where we get the money. I did talk to RJ in the BPAC meeting about it for a while, and he thinks there's an opportunity for grants, but that's going to take time to get, right? And so we have to get Caltrans to wait as well. So it's going to be an interesting process to try to make this work. Key dates. Public presentation by Caltrans is August 4th. That's a big, large public meeting where they're going to present these ideas. At our BPAC meeting, we agreed to have a special BPAC meeting on August 8th to try to get public input and try to coordinate all the public input from the August 4th meeting. So we have that available by what we were told was going to be the council presentation on August 16th. So hopefully we'll have that information. But there's lots of interest in doing the more upgraded version. But the issue is, can we get the money and can we get Caltrans to sit around, wait basically until we get the money and do the more upgraded version. Second thing, I went to the opening of the North-South Greenway. I was invited to the ribbon cutting, which is the path along Highway 101. It is now possible to ride a bicycle from San Rafael through the tunnel, over Sir Francis Drake, over the creek, all the way into Corte Madera, all on protected bike path. You're completely separate, completely safe. This has also been going on for years. It's a $20 million project. It is beautiful. One of the things Eric Lucan talked about when he was there is that this was approved by TAM at a meeting at 1 a.m. in 2013. So it just shows you the timeline that we're working with on these kinds of things. It was a $20 million project, but Caltrans was there and it's great. And if you haven't tried it and seen it, it is beautiful. Please use it. Lots of people are already using it. It's a great improvement. I'm glad we did it. That's it. Thanks.
Thanks. And for me, I attended Twin Cities Disaster Preparedness Committee, of which Rachel was a part of. And the other thing is I had the privilege of doing the ribbon cutting, excuse me, at VinFast, which is our latest EV dealer in town located over at the village. So we have another EV dealer. With that, we'll go ahead and move to the draft agenda. Just a note that we next meet on August, I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh, I missed public comment. Apologies.
Thank you, Mayor Casissa. Yes, I was going to alert you to a raised hand for public comment on, I guess, town manager and council reports. So
Thank you. Go ahead, Roy. Apologies for that. Go ahead, Roy.
Okay, no apologies needed. So Adam, congratulations. And then for Todd, thank you for all the times you took the time to speak with me. See, our last conversation, I had concerns, or our last couple of conversations about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we kind of talked about and got into kind of the Star Wars theme. And kind of just as a parting shot, I saw in the Mill Valley publication that you were stepping up from DEI to DEI and justice, or diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. So I'm thinking in terms of the Star Wars themes, seems like there was an evolution from Anakin Skywalker to Darth Vader, and from Jedi to, I'll leave it to your imagination and explain it to anybody else if you want to. Thank you.
Thanks, Roy. And with that, I don't see any hands raised, so I'll go ahead and close public comment. Moving to draft agenda. Again, our next meeting is August 16th. We don't meet the first meeting in August, and usually we go dark in August, but again, we have important topics that we need to cover. So with that, if there's no further business, I will go ahead and adjourn the town council meeting, and we're going to move into the regular meeting for Sanitary District 2. I'll call that to order. And with that, if we can get a roll call of the board members, please.
Board Member Beckman,
Here.
Board Member Mongan, absent, Board Member Ravazio,
Here.
and Board Vice President Lee, and Board President Casissa.
Here, with that, I'll go ahead and move our meeting to open time for public comment. This gives anybody the opportunity to speak on a subject that is not on our agenda. Again, this is Sanitary District 2 meeting. If anybody wishes to speak, please raise your hand or go to the podium. And I don't see either. Do we have any email comments that came in?
Thank you, Mayor Casissa. We did not receive any emailed public comments for this item.
Thank you. With that, I'll go ahead and close public comment. We don't have any presentations. We'll move to the consent calendar. These are items that are in the normal course of business. They've been previously discussed. They do only need a single motion to be approved. Any member of the district board, staff, or the public may request that an item be removed for further discussion. And with that in mind, is there anybody from the board, staff, or the public that wishes to have a item removed for further discussion on the consent calendar? I don't see anything. Any emails come in?
We did not receive any emailed public comments on this item.
Thanks for that. I'll go ahead and close public comment. We're looking for a motion to approve consent items 4A through 4E. So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks. If there's no further discussion, go ahead, call for the vote.
Board Member Beckman,
Yes.
Board Member Mongan, Board Member Ravazio,
Yes.
Vice President Lee, and President Casissa.
Yes, with that, we have no public hearings. We do not have any business items. Do we have any district manager or board member reports? Thank you very much. We will have a draft sometime in the next month or so. And then with that, we're going to move into item 9, which is closed session. If there's anybody from the public, please raise your hand or go to the podium. The closed session item has to do with public employee performance evaluation regarding the district manager. And I don't see any hands raised, nobody at the podium. Any email comments?
We did not receive any emailed public comments.
Thanks. With that, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting and we will go into closed session. Thanks. We're out of closed session and we're going to reconvene in open session. I have nothing to report from our closed session meeting. And there's no further business come before the Sanitary District 2 Board. I will go ahead and adjourn our meeting. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you.